Hello YouTube. When we forgive other people, when we forgive others who maybe hurt us, upset us, or when we just send love and blessings to people, anyway, when we send love and blessings to family members, friends, and anyone that's either nice to us or is not nice to us, we're actually living according to how God wanted us to live. God wants us to be here, but to be aloof from everything around us, to enjoy everything, but also be aloof and detached from everything around us. And therefore karma, which is like a spider web, cannot catch you. You don't want to walk into that spider web, because if you walk into that spider web, you'll come back here endless times, thousands of times, millions of times, maybe even billions and trillions of times. So the original idea was, according to Hinduism, that God was bored. God was bored. He just saw empty space everywhere and no creation and nothing. And he thought, oh, I've got no one to enjoy all this power with. I've got no one to enjoy all this magnificence with. So then she, Mother Divine, closed her eyes and pictured a universe. At that moment, the Big Bang, the no going into samadhi while doing YouTube videos. No, 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 no. It's naughty. Oh, where was I? Oh yeah. So that precise moment, she pictured the universe, and boom, everything came forth. How does God have such power? People have asked this, like, throughout millenniums. People have asked it for thousands of years at least. How does God have such power? Well, first of all, you've got to remember what God is. God is not a person. God is a transcendental spirit. And transcendental spirit has, to a greater or lesser degree, power over the cosmos. Of course, the higher the soul, the more power they have over the cosmos. In God's case, God is the original soul, or the original spirit, a part of the ocean of consciousness, which we all are a part of. To say that God's different to us is another lie. How can energy, which is eternal, be different to any other energy. Yes, we're here now in physical form, but we're also energy, we're also spirit. And that spirit is the same as God, has the same power as God. That spirit is a part of God. Like water is a part of the ocean, so spirit is part of God. I'm going off track. I'm going off track. So, how did I find meditation? Through Paramahansa Yogananda's book, Autobiography of a Yogi. It's a very old book. Even when I bought it, it was a very old book. And I must have bought it about 15 years ago. And even then it was a really old book. I mean, it was brand new, but it was written like 1950s or something. He was one of the first Hindu swamis to America. A very evolved soul. See, in Eastern philosophies, it's very different to here in the West. They say that you don't have to worship God, you can actually become God. That's what they say in the East. In the West, they say, oh yes, you should worship Jesus, you should worship Jehovah, you should worship Mary, the Mother of God. And worshipping people puts a lot of people off. In some ways, the Eastern philosophy is more practical because they're giving you an actual specific method. They're giving you an actual method to find God. Whereas in the West, they only say worship God. They don't give you a method to find God. So in some ways, the East is more practical in some ways. Because in the East, they say that if you do lots of meditation, you can find God within yourself. And therefore, they're giving you the phone number of God, you could say. They're saying, dial this number and you can speak to God. In the East, they're saying that if you meditate, you can directly contact God. As God is within each of us, the same as a drop of water is within ice. So think of us, humans, as ice, and think of ice melted as spirit, and think of that melted ice as a part of the ocean. And then if you look at it like that, you can understand that we are part of God. God is the ocean, we are drops of water. But we're not just drops of water, we are frozen pieces of water. We are frozen drops of water. In physical form, we are frozen drops of water. And then we go back to God through a method of tapas, meditation. Through meditation, we dissolve the water, we dissolve the ice, and we go back into the ocean of God. It's called tapas meditation because when you first start meditating, you can get very hot as the spiritual energy rises. It can create like a real heat. I remember at the time, this is going back about 10 years or more. I remember at the time I had heat rashes on my back, and I was just sitting in the bedroom in King's Court with maybe just a t-shirt on or something, and because sitting still, I sort of sat cross-legged and propped myself up against the wall to keep my back straight. But actually sitting like that, I could feel, after a few hours, I could feel the whole universe opening up to me. So, meditation isn't boring. Meditation is an adventure into the self. And it's an adventure into the self of all. It's the greatest adventure, and it is the one adventure that you cannot ignore, because sooner or later, over many lifetimes, sooner or later you'll have to come back to the question, who are you? You can say, fuck this shit, I'm not going to do meditation today, or I'm not going to do meditation this lifetime, or fuck that shit, what he's chatting about. But sooner or later, either in this life or in another life, you'll have questions. And at some point you will have to ask yourself who you are as spirit, not just as a physical vehicle. At some point you will want to know who you are as a spirit. But if you wait until you're old, you won't be able to apply the methods in the East, because you need to be in reasonably good physical health to meditate, to sit cross-legged, to keep your back straight, or even to sit on a chair cross-legged. Even if you just sat on a chair with your back straight, most people in this country find keeping their back straight a challenge, and therefore yoga is very useful for keeping your back straight, because yoga makes us more flexible, so then with flexibility it becomes easier to meditate. But as I say about waiting until you're old, by the time you're old, your body becomes too inflexible, and therefore you cannot sit straight. Oh, I like that tune. Who's playing that tune? I started meditating when I was 29. But even before that, as a teenager, I used to pray for other people a lot. And I remember sitting on the bus, I remember my neck twitching, and it actually means your kundalini rising. So actually, I was actually already awakening my chakras. I was awakening my chakras as a teenager by praying for other people. Going over to see Boo soon. I don't know why I'm laughing. I just feel an ocean. I was just feeling a river of bliss running through my veins. I feel like a flow of joy flowing through me, flowing through my soul. Konnichiwa.